can be only one podcast, and may it be the Princess of the Universe. Hi, folks, I'm Matt. Hot off the heels of our live episode 300 on YouTube, we are back here to talk about more Star Wars nerdy stuff. Yeah, of course, we usually have a few in the bag. We usually do 2 at a time, 2 recordings, maybe sometimes 3. I like to stay ahead. But of course, with the anticipation of 300, plus with EU March Madness on the website, I didn't have time to do anything. So I didn't have time to do any extra recordings. We will be getting more recordings come in. Bruce is going to come in. Wes is working on a multiple podcast topic we're going to talk about. But since everyone really liked Return to Endor, guess what, folks? You're getting the Endor Trilogy. That's right. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for all the feedback that I got. The encouraging words. Yes, if I ever have the free time, I'll finish this and write it. It may not happen when I have 4 kids, 3 and under, though, to watch. But I would like to go ahead and tell you what I had in store. Because seriously, when I wrote this, what was I, 20, 22, whatever, however old I was thinking, oh, yes, this is part 1 in the Endor Trilogy. And the second one, I knew it was going to be shorter than the rest of the books that I wrote. And this was always planned to be the shortest one. And it was going to be called An Ewok on Coruscant. Yeah, this is the Endor Trilogy here. All right, so maybe after our last adventure, 2 years have passed or whatnot. Zach and Sindel have become romantically involved. And so they are going to get married. And of course, Sindel wants... Tawani wants Wicket and her Ewok friends to join the wedding. So what she does is she gets them tickets to board a Starliner. This is a unique Starliner where the freighter kind of goes around the, outer marks. The place is not really well traveled. There's not much travel to Endor and back. It's still a sparsely populated place. Sure, people visit it, but it's not that popular a destination. So she has to charter a special thing. Well, due to the importance of transports coming in and out of Coruscant, this one that's an outliner freighter gets when it's coming into Coruscant, it gets rerouted. Okay, but Sindel isn't told. And when she gets to the platform, she's waiting. Then she realizes something's wrong. We've been here for way too long. Ask the controller, and the comp controller's like, hey, we rerouted that like 30 minutes ago. So now she's like, oh no. So she and Zach are trying to make it to the other platform to, get the Ewoks in time. Well, meanwhile, the Ewoks don't know what happened. They've landed there. They don't see anyone familiar. And maybe, something happens, some type of explosion, that happens. Not the Ewoks' fault. But, no. I know exactly what it is. I had this in mind. The transport they're on has exploded. Okay, it's unloaded all of its goods, but an explosion went off anyway, and so that explosion kind of chases them into the streets of Coruscant, where a lot of adventures happen. I believe it's Tebow who is driving the speeder bike in Return of the Jedi. It was Tebow or Pablo, I can't remember. I remember I wrote it down, but a long time ago when I thought about doing this book. And he's going to say, hey, trust me, I can fly a lot better now. But he can't. And so all these zany antics are happening as Ewoks are trying to go through the concrete jungle that is Coruscant. Meanwhile, Zach and Sindel are basically following their trail. But there is an underlying theme. You see, like I said, this is, I can't remember exactly where I placed this. And like I said, I don't have my notes for this anymore. My notes were on that zip drive, I remember. I just typed them up. But I believe Luke and Mara were already married and maybe away on their honeymoon or something like that. I can't recall. It was during the end of the Bantam era, because remember, that's all I knew. I didn't know the Del Rey era. So all I had was like, maybe it happened. It definitely happens before New Jedi Order. I knew that because I didn't get to thinking about my third one until New Jedi Order started. But it was sometime after that, and now Leia, one of her aides, who she's had for a while. Remember, Pelion, the Empire has already called a truce here. And basically, they're kind of living that life, portrayed by Timothy Zahn's book. And it's right after the events of that. And so one of her most trusted aides is setting up a reclamation day. They're kind of reclaiming the streets of Coruscant and cleaning them up and going down a few different levels, not too dangerous, but just going down to that first kind of seedy area and cleaning it up and renovating it. And my idea was, you know how downtown, well, not every downtown, but I remember at the time, our city was doing some kind of downtown renovation bonus. You know, you get taxes, tax-free deductibles if you came in there and kind of renovate and kind of, they wanted to liven up and reinvent their downtown area, which they have done an okay job in the past few years. But this is one of the things that Coruscant's trying to do. They're trying to take back some of the top layer seedy areas. I mean, the lower levels, they forget about it. But for right now, it's a good step in the right direction. And one of her aides has been instrumental in helping her out over the past couple of years with this project. And Leia is very happy about it. And so Leia's a firm believer in it. She's going to go. They've kind of cleaned everything up. And, you know, the aide's taking care of everything. Well, what's going on is this aide of Leia's is basically setting her up to die. It's going to be an assassination attempt. You see, Leia's aide is a long-seated plant from the Empire who's basically been forgotten and underutilized. And she knows that, and she's upset. She kind of thought maybe the Empire had some big plan in the works, and, you know, all her plans were to hold on. She even didn't know if her reports were being, because there wasn't that much to report, but she didn't know if her reports were being, you know, because she went in on the big, busy meetings. But she thinks, you know, maybe the Empire has something good up their shoulder, you know, or sleeve, and Paleon's going to make a big difference. You know, he's always got a plan. He can lead us. He's, you know, the equivalent of Thrawn these days. And then when they surrender, or when they call treaty, she is so, peace treaty, I don't know what I just said earlier, but she is so upset by that kind of shakes her faith. And so now she's a fanatic. She's just going to go and just she's going to go out dying. Like, she plans to die too. She's going to take Leia with her. She's going to kill her. She knows she can't escape, you know, so she'll die too, but at least she'll die with the legacy, because Leia has ruined everything about her glorious empire, you know, because she was around the golden ages, you know, and everything. And the Empire, she gave her whole life. She gave, as the book goes on, we find out she gave her whole fortune. She used to be rich. She's not anymore. And then when she had nothing else to give, and, you know, she gave herself to the cause, you know, the ultimate cause, to go undercover, to just do something, because she believed the Empire would one day come back. And now her dreams are dashed forever, and she just wants to get one last revenge on Leia. Now remember, Leia is not chief of state now, but it's her symbol, who she symbolizes, you know. And so that is her thing, and that's kind of how she's gotten through some security clearances too, because of course now that Leia is not chief of state, the security clearances aren't as big. So this, and like I said, this is like just a humanitarian project that Leia has agreed to be a part of. Anyway, as it's going along, she has these plans. The plans happen to deal with, someone has brought the bombs to be used on that transport. However, because the captain of the ship actually checked the cargo and was set to report it, or just make a, you know, not report it like it was bad, just say, oh, hey, these are ammunitions, I have to report this. You know, I have to report, you know, it's a little bit higher than what you need, a higher grade, so I have to report, I have to fill out a form for this. And she doesn't want it to trip wires, because that would involve a inspection, you know, a further inspection of these whatever weapons they're bringing into Coruscant. So what she has happen is she blows up the ship, you know, to kill the captain, making it look like an accident. She's already rigged the ship to blow. Or I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember, like I said. But anyway, she had that plan, which is what led the Ewoks off into the streets of Coruscant. However, the Ewoks are unwittingly revealing her plan. They're pulling the thread, and everything's falling apart. Wherever the Ewoks go, that's another part of her thread, of her plan, that keeps falling apart. And as Sindel and Zach are they're always one step behind the Ewoks. You know, they're always, whatever the disaster is, you know, maybe Pablo or Tebow on the speeder bike, ran through a hollow billboard and, you know, caused havoc, or, you know, opened up a bunch of crates and let all these, wild animals loose, and they're trying to help. Zach's trying to help out round the animals, and maybe Tash is there to help out too. The whole time, Sindel, being the reporter, is slowly putting pieces together. Hey, this is the second time we've seen this emblem before, or whatnot. This is odd. I should run, something on this. And then she finds out the munitions, or the emblem that she's finding is from a once prominent family in the Empire that's no more. It's the Tag family, okay? Because the Tags, there are tons of them in the Marvel comic books, and so it looks like someone's using, Tag, whatever leftover storehouses or Tag resources are out there to do something bad on Coruscant. And then slowly she's going to put the pieces together while she's trying to find the Ewoks. Ewoks, meanwhile, it's just a bonfire of comedies here as they're just going, kind of lumping through one after the next. Well, finally it gets to that reclamation day of Coruscant's seedier level, or less seedy level. Han's there. He's kind of missing the seediness because he used to play a Sabbat game. When Leia was working late at nights, he'd go down to this area and play some, not so legal Sabbat games. So he's kind of sad to see the place cleaned up. It's going to be a little joke there. But Leia's about to give her speech. Of course, the podium is rigged with this. It's like I said, it's a small explosive, but powerful enough that it had to be reported by the captain of the ship. And the reason it's small is because it fits within the podium. When Leia's up there, it's going to blow up, taking Leia with her. And then the aide knows that eventually, the fingers are going to point to her. She doesn't think if there's any way to escape. So she's going to go up there and just give her little speech, as she's probably going to get gunned down by New Republic security afterwards. But at least she'll watch Leia die, is the thing. Well, of course, the Ewoks are going to come at the end, and they're just going to cause havoc, bumping Leia out of the podium. Or maybe they smell danger. They smell that whatever it was that was on the ship, the same bomb that she used to take out the ship's engines that exploded was the same type of bomb that was used in the podium. Now, I made that up. I should have thought about that when I wrote it down. But maybe that's what they smell, danger. And so they get Leia out of the way. Either way, like this time it's not an accident. I think in the original writing I had it be an accident. But no, maybe they do sense danger. And it turns out Sindel's at this point, while she's caught up with them, she realizes not only who it was responsible, but who the aide is. Are you ready for this Scooby-Doo moment? It's the last surviving Tag, Domina, the sister. She's the last one left. Everyone is dead. Everyone's died. This family was full of riches, gave them all to the Empire until they couldn't give any more. Like they were out. They were exhausted because they're, as the Empire's territories got smaller, their resources and their riches got weaker. And then when she had nothing else to give to the cause, no followers, no big ships, no. She gave all her ships away to various warlords and whatnot throughout the years. Thrawn had maybe acclimated some in the past, and all these other people who'd risen up, she'd given all their warships to them too, anything she could do. And now she's finally given herself to the cause. She got reconstructive surgery a little bit, to make herself look a little bit different so that the, Han and Leia would not recognize her. And so just like plastic surgery, it can work. And, maybe a different haircut, different hair color, different eye color, stuff like that. And, maybe Han had somehow, something about her had always worked. Han was just off on her. And Leia keeps getting on to Han for being so, but Leia does admit that sometimes she feels things are a little, like her aide is a little, too zealous or too intense at times. But they had no idea it was Domina Tag. And so now she didn't die in the Marvel comic books. It kind of gives her an ending. Because I think at this point, maybe I'd read the Marvel comic books by now. Or at least known about them. Anyway, so Domina Tag is revealed to be the aide. And of course, I think they kill her. They have to gun her down because she just tries to pull a blaster on Leia, just last-ditch effort, and Han guns her down. Or Han doesn't kill her cold blood, but shoots her to where she's not going to survive. Or maybe just, shoots her hand or whatever, and then she just kills herself with poison or whatnot. I can't remember what it was. I bet it was Han shooting her. But I would probably have, Han injure her and her just go ahead and just kill herself because she doesn't want to live in the world where the Empire isn't there. Yeah, that just got real. So that was an Ewok on Coruscant, Book 2 of the Endor trilogy. Now, you want to know what the third trilogy was? It was called Dark Moons of Endor. Now, at this point, I'd only thought about these two stories. I didn't think about a trilogy. And I mean, I did want a trilogy, but the story, at Bantam, it kind of stopped. I was like, okay, where do you go from here? Well, the moment I started reading New Jet Order, my mind started churning a dime a dozen over a great story. Dark Moons of Endor, the invasion is happening, and Coruscant is in the ground. It takes place before Star by Star. And they know Coruscant's in danger. Sindel has to leave. Zach wants her to leave. I'm going to say, because it's New Jet Order, I think Tash will die, or Zach will die. I can't remember who I imagined dying, and maybe y'all can tell me who would be better. Zach is her husband. He dies, and now, her child, who I think I'm going to make a boy named Mace after her brother who died, and I think that's who I did. I think now he's an orphan now, or he doesn't have a father now. If that was too harsh, I was going to kill Tash and really rattle Zach. Either way, the other brother or sister, because it's New Jet Order, so it has to be a little bit darker. One of them die, and the other one goes, "We need to get you to safety." Yeah, I'm kind of liking Tash here. So sorry, Zach. I think you died in Dark Moons of Endor. Sindel's upset. She doesn't want to leave Coruscant, but she does want to protect her son. Her uncle, who is getting older, but still a Shido, is convincing her as well with Tash to go to Endor. Endor is out of the way. There's nothing technically strategic about the planet. The Vong won't take it because there's no technology there. It's basically all wood still, and wooden things, pulleys, ropes. So the Vong wouldn't even be angry to go there, and there's just no tactical advantage of taking Endor. So it's kind of like a safe, overlooked planet, because it's fairly deserted. And since people are going everywhere, that'd be probably the safest place to go. And the Ewoks can protect her. They can hide. They're good at hiding and whatnot. And, of course, Wicket is the chieftain now because Chief Chirp has passed away. And he and Kanisha are welcoming, Sindel and her son Mace. So Uncle Hul accompanies her, as does Tash. Tash is mourning the death of her brother. And so Luke gives her some time off just to kind of help, because he doesn't want her to fall into the dark side. He's seen too many deaths right now, too many Jedi dancing at the dark side. He's thinking about Kip Durin, during this too. I was going to bag on Kip a little bit to everyone's pleasure. But then they go to Endor, okay? So they're at Endor, and there's a little bit of sadness as the Ewoks do a celebration of life in honor of Zach, who has passed away. Tash isn't sure, but in the flames, did she see a blue ghost of Zach smiling at them? She doesn't know. I mean, it could have been the flame, could have been nothing, could have been the ghost. We don't know. I'm not going to do Force Ghost in there. It was maybe an apparition that maybe she saw, or maybe it was a trick of the light. Either way, she feels like since Zach never got maybe he died by one of the Voxen or, by one of the Vong, but he never got a proper funeral. What the Ewoks have done has been a celebration of his life and a proper funeral. The Witsies get involved and do all these nice light dances and stuff. So it's a time for healing for all of them. And Uncle Hul knows that. He's kind of, he's unemotional at the time, but I mean, he does. Maybe Tash looks over at him and he sees a tear come down, because even he loves Zach too. And so they're kind of all hugging each other. Everyone's doing better. Maybe the next morning, happy hijinks are going on. Unfortunately, as they're dancing through the forest, an Ewok scout patrol comes across Vong. And they automatically know something's wrong because the forest has gone quiet. The Vong are outside the forest. The Ewoks celebrate life. They just know something's unnerving about these travelers. And one of them is told, the youngest, whoever it is told to report back. And unfortunately, The ones who stay get caught by the Vong and die. Even though the Ewoks go out, as fast as they can, they got battle weary. Now, the Vong realize there are Ewoks on the planet, so the Vong are following them. Now, this is a Vong scouting mission. They're just scouting out the planet, and even though they don't see any tactical advantage, it doesn't hurt to put out a little outpost there. And so that's all it is. Imagine like Predator or something. There's not that many, maybe 5, maybe 4, I don't know. Just a little cadre of Vong who are just setting up a transmitter there, a Villip, and they're just going to report at anything going on. They're one of several scout troops that, they're warriors. This is not honorable. This is kind of a boring job. They want to go out and prove themselves. When they see Ewoks, the Ewoks gave them a pretty brave fight, but not good enough. The Vong were more powerful, but they want to follow and see what they are because they are warriors. They're always looking for a fight. When one of the spies goes there, he discovers Tash, who is a Jedi. He sees her lightsaber, and he's like, Jedi, because they love to go against a Jedi. He doesn't know who Uncle Hul is, so he thinks he's just an old man. But then he's attracted to the girl. He overhears that her husband was a Jedi too, and they have a son too, a Jedi son, a youngling. So, maybe their boss is looking for that too. Either way, they're thinking, hey, we ought to capture these people. Well, what they've decided to do is to prove themselves. They've gotten a little too arrogant. Instead of going back and reporting to their command that they're a Jedi here, no, they want the glory of the kill, because they know that if they do it, they'll bring real, quote unquote, real warriors down to take on the Jedi. But there's only one, and there's maybe, let's say, 5 of them, and they think we can kill this Jedi and take the Jedi kid and slaughter a few weeks. It'll be glory for us, and we'll get rewarded. So they don't report who's on the planet. And now they're going to go after them. Now, maybe it starts off with a night attack where only one Vong will die, but when they find out it's the Vong, or maybe a bunch of Ewoks come across a Vong and they take him out, And so the Vong now realize, oh, these guys are, these Ewoks are kind of dangerous too. So they're going to... And again, I can't remember exactly what I had. I wrote this out on a piece of paper years ago. But I remember that like they're growing some kind of animal, like, the Voxen or some kind of snake or something. And one's kind of gene splicing, and they dabble a little bit in gene splicing. So they create a beast to kind of help them out, to kind of track down and hunt the Ewoks too. And they're a little bit more dangerous. And they're going into, as Sindel, Mace, and... Uncle Hul goes to explore, Endor a little bit, just kind of get some air, and the rest of them want to go on a camping trip, with Wicket and his son. So they're all going camping, and that's when the Vong attack, and that's when you have these, people battling it out, fighting. You're going to think Wicket dies in this, and he doesn't. I'm not that dark. But he is going to get, a razor bug in the gut or whatever. He looks like he's bleeding out and very weak. And it was to save Sindel's son, so Sindel feels awful. But, of course, Tash is going to fight, and Uncle Hul is going to surprise them and maybe kill 1 or 2 Vong himself when he transforms and just totally throws the Vong off. And they don't know what type of creature he is. But now there's only 3 left, and they know to get even more... prepared for these people. Now, Uncle Hul is going to die. He's another death I had planned on this. He's older, and maybe he's going to buy them time because maybe he's taken out that big monster that they grew. And so he kills it, but it's at sacrifice for himself. He dies as well. The Ewoks rally behind the Vong. Maybe Tash is injured at this point. Sindel's trapped. The Vong, the last 3 remaining Vong have them, but then the Ewoks come to the rescue, and there's a big battle, a bunch of Ewoks versus 3 awesome Vong warriors, where they will win, and they report the scouting station. They find the scouting station. They're going to report it to the New Republic, but unfortunately, Coruscant has fallen at this point, and everyone is scattered. So what do? Well, Sindel does everything she can. She's going to sit there, listen, and give reports of what's going on in the, and maybe Tash is using the Force to kind of put a fake image over Sindel or herself as they're giving fake reports as the Vong. And they're just determined not to give Vong any information, maybe even misinformation from their standpoint whenever they're called upon. And whenever they can get information, to relay that to the New Republic in hopes of a comeback and a win. And so Dark Moons of Endor was going to kind of, finish my trilogy. If you say, Matt, what'd you have after that? When you read Legacy, when you read Fate, I'd left it by then. I'd stopped thinking about it. But I was really excited. I may have killed even more people than I thought in Dark Moons of Endor. Like, I'm almost positive I killed one or two of Wicked's brothers, like Weechi and Wendell or whatever. I think I killed two of them. Like one of the people who first encountered the Vong was one of Wicked's brothers. So you make it personal against Wicked. And then later on, that last battle, another one of his brothers, Weechi, passes away. So there is some Ewok death all around. Tonk, she was going to come back, the Ewok priestess, and I think she was also going to take a whooping. I think Tebow was going to be the shaman now because Logray had kind of died. He'd gotten old and died. But Tonk was going to come and kind of help Tebow, who, unfortunately, Tebow survives, Tonk does not. Like I said, there is going to be some death, baby. And they were, when the Ewoks go, I was also going to do this. The Vong have been a little busy on the planet already, and they have eliminated, they came across some Dulocs and just slaughtered them all. Like, Dulocs are gone. Like, I like extinguishing races. So the Dulocs were going to be no more. In fact, any threat, the Flogs or whatever else that were threats to the Ewoks, they're basically gone. Now, the Vong knew to stay away from a Gorax, right? They weren't going to go about trying to kill a Gorax. But they were going around killing any of the enemies from the cartoon series because they hadn't seen the Ewoks yet. And so a few races had gotten, extinguished since then. And maybe when they get to Endor, that's what the scouting groups are going, because they're not finding some of their regular enemies. And the scout group's going further and further out to make sure, or just to kind of see what the Dulocs are up to, or anyone, because they haven't seen him in a few months. And they're getting kind of wary of it. Not worried, but just wary. Maybe that's how the scouting group finds them. Either way, awesome stuff. If I ever had the time, you're like, Matt, why don't you make the time? I can't make the time. 4 kids, 3 and under. Can't do it. I did think about it. See, even at the beach, when I do have a little bit of free time, writing, the reason writing is so hard. Reading is easy because I can always stop and pick it back up. Wherever I'm at, I can just stop and pick it back up. Man, when I'm writing something, I have to be in the zone. I cannot be bothered. I cannot be, because being in the zone, then taking out, oh, Dad, I need some water. Oh, Dad, can you make me an apple? Oh, Dad, your son has a diaper. You gotta get your diaper changed. Oh no, there's a spill. I gotta do that. Okay, I can't have time to concentrate, and I lose my train of thought. I lose the scene. I lose the moment. And believe me, I tried to do it once, and I was like, this is impossible. So I just gave up. It was me doing it. I was writing a dinner theater at the time. I was trying to write another dinner theater, which I don't know how I'm going to do that, if I'm going to be writing more dinner theaters soon. But either way, writing one, not going to happen for a very long time. But I would like to write it. And I'll be honest, these aren't the only ideas I had for stories. I did have another, maybe, oh my goodness, am I going to do another Prince of the Universe, back-to-back Prince of the Universe, telling about my other stories? Maybe I will. This story is not as thought out as the other three. You got to understand, I have pondered for years about what I thought these would be. This trilogy would look like. And so the other ones that I had, I remember exactly when I had the idea. It was during the Bantam era. And I've technically never written them out, even though I constantly think about them. I think it may be a good series, but I don't, could I even talk about that for 30 minutes? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I'd have to come up with something else I can talk about too, but without stepping on any of the topics that Bruce and Wes and I were going to address. But we'll see. So tell me what you think. Good ideas, bad ideas, I don't care. I just had a lot of positive feedback from the last one and want to do it again. All right, folks. See you next time on Princes of the Universe.